welcome to episode number 33 of Winning the Division. I am your co-host, Ryan Smith, alongside my partner in crime, former NFL tight end Benjamin Troupe. For the latest in Carolina Panthers and NFL news, you can subscribe to the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, where you can find our work powered by the Fans First Sports Network. Our audio version of this podcast will bring you there. Keep Pounding brings you the latest news, analysis, and interviews from the top players, announcers, studio leads, and more. You can rate, review, and subscribe at your favorite podcast platform, or subscribe to our video channel on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@Tobacco Sports Radio. Well, Ben, this is an exciting time. We're about 27 days exactly from the draft, but who's counting? And we'll get into draft coverage in a little bit, but I wanted to just kind of start with some headlines that are kind of circling around the league, and we'll just go through different teams and different things that we've seen and kind of react accordingly. And since we don't have a guest tonight, so we can spend a little bit more time on some of these headlines and kind of really get into the meat and potatoes of what some of these teams are going through. So let's start with the Cleveland Browns. Jimmy Haslam comes out today and says, big swing and a miss on Deshaun Watson. We all know that they're probably going to go either Abdul Carter or Shedeur Sanders at number 2. Maybe Travis Hunter's still an option there too. But thoughts on those comments by majority owner Jimmy Haslam of the Cleveland Browns and kind of what this means going forward in their quarterback room?
You appreciate the honesty. I mean, that's something that we all knew. I mean, I understand that when it comes to quarterbacks, it's never gonna be a bigger swing and miss than at the quarterback position. It's gonna happen for more than just the Browns, but it was timing. It wasn't necessarily the player you picked, it was the timing of the player that you picked. He had been out of football roughly 2 years, signed at the time the highest, the most guaranteed money of a quarterback ever. And I'm gonna keep saying this, Smitty. It's not. Yes, Deshaun Watson is not the same player he's been. He's never going to be that player again. But look at the track record of the Cleveland Brown quarterbacks. When have they had a successful one that you can remember? Baker Mayfield, he did all he could. They broke out the Bud Light, coolers when they won a game. Think about that.
Yeah.
But we're not too many years removed from Cleveland Brown just saying, because Hugh Jackson was the head coach. Hugh Jackson won one game in 2 years. One. So they're like, we're going to break out, the beard when we win a game. Deshaun Watson has a really, really good agent. He had a lot of momentum. At the time, he was a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. And then he started having his off-the-field troubles, which kept him off the field. And just like anything else, Smitty, football is not the type of game you can spend a lot of time away from it and think you're going to be the same player. I don't care who you are. So, yeah, Haslam comes out and says that because he's speaking to the fan base, saying, look, we get it. We messed this up. We messed it up bad. And this is where we find ourselves. Yes, you bring back Myles Garrett. Yes, you get Kenny Pickett because he said he want to have a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Well, Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Backup, but he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And it's the Cleveland Browns. At the end of the day, Smitty, we're talking about an organization that doesn't have an identity, that doesn't have a real culture. But you know what they have? They have a really, really good head coach. Coach Stefanski is a really, really good coach. And what Cleveland is trying to do is say, listen, man, we better keep Stefanski in the building because if we do the unthinkable and let him go, I mean, by the time he walked to his car, he's going to be a head coach for a new team. But, yeah, it's a huge swing and a miss. Quarterbacks is the easiest and hardest position to evaluate because you look at a lot of different factors: wins, losses, touchdowns, the interception, QBR, how effective are they leaders? Are they, and I don't think that Deshaun Watson, I do agree with what James Winston said. He was like, look, I got a chance to be in the locker room with him. I don't think he deserves some of the flack that he's getting. And I disagree. I think he do deserve it for this reason. I am not judging his off the field stuff, but even if I was only talking about his on the field performances, Smitty, when the last time you've seen Deshaun Watson in the last 4 years have a quality football game? It's been that long. So
yeah, it's
but it sets them back so bad because of how big that contract was, and I know contracts have gotten even bigger now. But I played for a guy that's only been out there a couple of games, I don't even know if he's played 10 games since he's been in Cleveland.
So, I'd have to look that up. We can get back to that later on.
But yeah, Haslam, I appreciate the honesty. Somewhere, Captain Ivy definitely lives in Cleveland. I mean, we all knew that already, but it's what it does to your franchise. Because when that deal came, across the ticker, we was like, what?
19 games and 3 seasons.
So the fact that you have 18 games in a season now, he's played a season in 1 game since he's been there. So and that's a shocker too. I ain't know he had played in 19. I ain't know he had played in that many games. So Hey, it's a what have you done for me lately type league. I think that they know they can't get out of that contract. Nobody's gonna pick it up. Nobody's gonna trade for him. Right. So I think they restructured it. But yeah, that's a god awful deal. It won't be the last one now. I don't want to just pile on Deshaun Watson, but it is bad. It's really, really
bad. The Jets owner, Woody Johnson, he rips the bogus NFL PA survey for an F grade, which the Jets were one of 3 or 4 owners, I believe, who got F grades, but specifically the Jets owner in the headlines ripping the bogus NFL PA survey. And the quote, he values his relationships with players and their opinions, but he questions the integrity of the poll, saying the whole thing. And he essentially said how he took issue with how they collected the information and who they collected it from. He said this was supposed to be some sort of agreement with the league and where we have representatives and they have representatives, and that's kind of like an honest survey. And he essentially says the whole thing was bogus and kind of how it was done, he didn't think was fair.
So let me get this straight. A billionaire who owns an NFL franchise don't like the evaluation he got. That sounds about right. But here's the thing. What you say about and feel about your organization in the privacy of your own office or in your own home or around a bunch of yes people, it's not listen, it is what public perception says it is. The Jets, the last good quarterback y'all had, or a decent quarterback, was Mark Sanchez. Outside of that, Brett Favre, Chad Pennington, right? No, Joe Namath. It's like that is, and Smitty, when I get to talking about why certain teams stay bad teams, it starts at the top. So what grade were you expecting, Woody? You got an F. What were you expecting? Were you expecting a B? An A? No. This team, the Jets, have been bottom feeders for a long time. The last exciting head coach you had was Rex Ryan, who went to back-to-back AFC Championship games with Mark Sanchez. I mean, you've had Herm Edwards. I mean, you guys, the thing about the Jets is this. You're always going to be bottom feeders because you have to beat the Bills. Nope. You got to beat the Dolphins. Nope. And you had to deal with the glory years of the New England Patriots. Well, outside of Joe Namath, who is still the most famous Jet of all time, as he should be, what did Woody Johnson expect? I think what it is to Smithy, when you're a billionaire and you have a lot of employees, that's a lot of yes people. That's a lot of them. And when it's something you cannot control comes out and you can't do nothing about it but call it bogus, that's a reality check to say, well, dude, I mean, when's the last time a great organization didn't have great players, a great culture in one game? It doesn't happen. You don't say they got an awful culture and an awful team, but they won it all. That doesn't happen. So he knows that when these reports come out, he think that the players read this stuff. No, most players wouldn't even know. But when you come out and call it bogus, they take it. Now they say, hey, man, what's going on over here? It's not bogus. No, your position is bogus. Because the Jets, I don't know who the worst franchise. I don't want to say who the worst franchise is in football, but the Jets is in that conversation. They definitely in that conversation of the worst. I'm not saying that there's the worst, but F grade, and you said they won of 4 teams.
I can't wait. I want to hear this. We're gonna get through some of these headlines, and we're gonna go into why bad teams stay bad as the draft comes around. We're gonna get into this. Okay. Next one. NFL shortens the time needed for Thursday night flex to just 21 days.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're gonna shorten the time. Bad enough. bad enough that the Thursday night games you just played on Sunday. So you got to turn around and play on Thursday. You had a 28 day window. Now it goes to 21. They trying to implement 18 games compared to 17. I don't want to hear anything about player safety. It's a catchphrase. It's a buzzword. Or they buzzwords.
Yeah.
Once again,
agreed.
The people who are making these decisions let you know they are not the ones who have to deliver. We make the decisions, they got to implement it. The coaches, the players, the training staff, the equipment men, so on and so forth. I want to see the injuries that pile up on Thursday night. They might not be significant, but I want to know how many guys after Thursday night.
So let me ask you a question, because as a player, I've heard two specific instances. I've heard players, and I think both things can be true, Ben. Mm-hmm. Some players hate Thursday night because of the short week of rest and the wear and tear on your body and, having to play 2 games in essentially 5 days. On the other hand, those same players have also said, well, the good news is we have kind of like a mini bye week after the game, and then we have a longer time to rest, and we actually have home with our families that whole weekend. So, there's positives and negatives to both. But if you were playing today, what would be your view?
I wouldn't like it. I can understand. I can understand both sides of the argument. But here's the thing, Smitty. Football is the only sport you can really only play once a week. Like you can't do it it ain't like basketball. You can play 3 games, or baseball. You can play 4. You can't. So anybody that's ever played football any time in your life, whether it's Pop Warner, middle school, high school, college, football is football. The older you get, the more your body gets beat up. Because you're bigger, faster, stronger. So we just played in a hard-fought overtime game on Sunday. We got a game on Thursday. Well, here's the thing about a Thursday game. You don't do no hitting that week. You put your game plan in. You do some walkthroughs. I just don't understand why, if we play on Thursday, now if we played on Thursday and we didn't play on Sunday, well, let's do it. No, we just played. That's what people don't get. And then we're going to, and don't be no good team. They finna flex it. Because here's the thing about Thursday, right? If you're a good team, you count healthy bodies. If you're a bad team, you count healthy bodies. And coming out of that thing, yes, I might get 11 days off until I play again, and I get to spend the weekend with my family. But what if I'm on IR? I'm going to spend the whole season with my family then. So I'm just always thinking about the quality of play, how much. Let me say this: it only takes 3 days to get ready for a football game. By the way, you like Sunday you play, Monday you come in and watch the film, Tuesday you off, Wednesday you put in a game plan, Thursday you put in second along, third along, Friday you just practice and you don't have no meetings after. You have meetings after Wednesday, meetings after Thursday. Friday you just practice and you go home right after. You actually come in on Saturday for a walkthrough and then you watch Friday's practice on Saturday. That's all it takes. And that's why they do it on Thursday. That's why they really doing it. They'll say, well, they're going to do walkthroughs on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. But what if you got to fly out? So if we play for Miami, we got to play Seattle, we're flying all freaking day Wednesday. I don't know. I'm never going to be a fan of how the NFL cares. The NFL cares about 3 things. Well, 3 things to me. They care about the best players making it out there on Sunday, like the faces. They care about making that money, which they're gonna do, and they care about viewership. And the only thing that can move them to the top is maybe the faces. As long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy, as long as Saquon Barkley is healthy, as long as Joe Burrow is healthy, they do not care. And so, hey, and you're right, though, Smitty, 2 things can be true. But it's like this. Smitty, I put it to you like this. You're an announcer. You had to announce a basketball tournament all day on Friday, right? All day on Friday. Then you got to turn around and do it again on Saturday, right? Hey, Smitty, man, look, we want you to do 3 games on Sunday. Now I know it's a difference, but your voice can only do so much, right?
Yeah, those and I've not been fortunate enough to do an Intel Bid tournament games, but those that have, I've heard, it is a gauntlet. Your first round game matchups on Thursday, 4 games in a whole day, and then you have Friday off, and then Saturday you're doing another.
That's how you make your money. If your voice is how
yeah.
you make it. What I'm saying is, sometimes when you're the best at what you do, it comes at a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. Hey, Smitty, because they're going to say, hey, Smitty, man, you think you can do this game too? Yeah. Because here's the thing. Okay, you got the night game, but you got the early game, but the night game went in overtime. But here's the thing, Smitty, it's NCAA tournament. They're not in the same place now. You got the fly. You see how they doing Curve Street and all those guys now?
That's a separate podcast. That's a separate podcast.
Listen, I respect the hustle. But you see why guys start bowing out. They don't want to make it a group. They want to make certain ones do it all. I want you to game day. I want you to do the game. I want you to. It's crazy.
Yeah. Some sad news here. Ex NFL corner Richard Sherman from Seattle, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay. His house was robbed with his family in the house. Thankfully, nobody was injured. So I won't really talk more about that, but just that headline popped up and he did confirm it, and it looks like everyone's okay.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
And Joe Burrow. Yep.
Joe Burrow. Yep. Look, NFL. And I know Richard Sherman is, ex-NFL. Now he's retired, but fellas, guys, look, I'm not saying they're not doing all they possibly can to look after their family. We're talking about security, but sometimes, unfortunately, you're a target. And I'm so happy that nothing happened to his wife and children, but there is no price tag or level of protection I could put on to make sure that my family is, in good hands. And like I said, they got the video of them jumping through the window. It's just crazy, man, because, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Richard Sherman, they're celebrities, but they regular people, man. They're here to protect their families. They, protect and possessions are one thing. You always hear that, they took $100,000 worth of jewelry. Well, get it insured. You can replace jewelry. You can replace homes, windows. You cannot replace family members. So I'm happy that Richard Sherman's wife and children are okay, man. They're going to have to beef up security, man, because this stuff is crazy. It makes you think. It makes me think of just how blessed I was playing in Tampa, playing in Tennessee, playing in Oakland, that I never had – because I spent the most time in Tennessee, and yes, Tampa was, an hour and some change down the road from Gainesville, right down off of 75. And Oakland is I live in Alameda County. I live in Alameda. I think about now walking through the streets of Oakland, downtown, not really understanding the culture, Smitty. Country boy from Swainsboro. I'm in California the first time in my life living, playing football, and I'm hurt. I'm not on IR, but I'm not playing in the games because of my freaking foot. And I get approached by a police officer one time. And it wasn't for nothing bad. He said, you play for the Raiders, right? I was like, yes, sir. He was like, do you know where you at? I'm like, yeah. He's like, no. Do you know where you at? I'm like, yeah. No, you in Oakland, California, man. Like, you see all these people over here? Yeah, he said, listen. He says, this isn't the Gap Band or the Goodwill Gang. This is a gang. These are gang members. And they ain't hiding. And you just walking through them, and one of the guys yells out, "Oh, we know who he is. He good." Like they from the crowd, meaning we know who he is, so he's straight. And I'm like, and the police officer said, "I wouldn't trust that. If I were you, this is what he said. I would hang out in San Francisco." Downtown San Francisco. Downtown San Francisco looks like something off of a movie. Okay? Oakland, California. Oakland, California. They're right beside each other. Like Oakland and San Francisco, they like touch.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Richard Sherman, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, man, we praying for y'all, man. This stuff it makes you feel about as helpless as you possibly could, mainly because they got the money, they got the resources, still wasn't. And I'm pretty sure they live in gated communities, right? If I had to guess, didn't help. So y'all be careful like
that. NFL retiree today, defensive end John Kaminsky, formerly of the Detroit Lions of the past 3 years in Detroit, also played for your Atlanta Falcons as well, selected by the Falcons in the 4th round of the 2019 draft. He is medically retiring after 6 years in the NFL due to injuries that are overwhelming and his desire to continue playing.
Respect. That's the word that comes to mind, because the game, as well as in life, will retire us all. Sports is going to happen a lot quicker, right? Sometimes retirement is going to come quicker than we thought. Everybody has this. Everybody feels in their heart that they're going to play 10 years, 15 years.
And let me actually go beyond this. This is not a headline that I was going to say, but this is actually from last week. When Puka Nacua comes out and talks about, age 30. So I want to ask you as a former player, I think it's two sides to, Puka saying this, and obviously John Kaminsky as well. So I'll say that part first. The good part about it is I think some of these players are now recognizing, early 30s, even late 20s for guys who are fortunate to play, long enough time. They want to get their money and they want to get out while they're healthy and their bodies can sustain it. On the other hand, if you're Puka Nacua, I don't know if that was such a good idea to say that out loud. Something's kind of maybe are better kept to yourself. So as a former player in the league, what did you think of his comment from that perspective?
I like it. I think you're dealing with a different caliber of player. I think players now have so much more information. They have so much more resources. They have so much more leverage. And I think for Puka, he said, look, I'm a good player. My game is not gonna slow down. I'm just saying, when you start thinking about life after, you're gonna be a former player much longer than you're gonna be a current, right? So what type of quality of life do you want to have? Super Bowls are great. All pros are great. Pro Bowls are great. Deep playoff runs are great. Moments. Listen, the 3 things you want to take away from this game is moments. No, 4 things. Moments, memories, money, and number 1, your health. Health is number 1. Because, Smitty, what does it matter, right? Does it really matter if I got a handful of rings, a bank account full of money, a head full of memories, and I can't get out the bed? I can't move. And because I don't know if it's happening now, but a lot of players coming to the league never ever taken a pill in their life, never ever taken these cortisone shots, or Toradol shots or whatever, walking away from the league addicted to painkillers. And here's the thing. I respect these players coming out saying what they want to do, because they letting people know, yes, I am really, really good at football, but football is not my identity. It's not. And I can say that now, but when you in it, somebody has to tell you, listen, man, you an incredible football player, but don't let that be your end all be all, because if somebody sees you and go, how do you? And you can barely get out. I don't even want to know what some of these players dealing with. My heart goes out to them. I mean, these retired players that, I know about a lot of them. And some of these stories are beyond sad. When you start seeing this guy that was running through tackles, breaking tackles, making tackles, and he's 31. And if somebody told you who he was, you were, that's who? That's why I respect Luke Kuechly. That's why I respect Patrick Willis. Because they didn't walk away because the game had passed them by. They said, no, man, Luke Kuechly, I mean, when Patrick Willis did a press conference, and he got a tie on, and the tie ain't even on the shirt. The tie's around his neck inside the shirt. Like, it ain't even on the shirt. And Luke Kuechly said, look, I've given all I can to this game. I left it all on the field. And if you ever looking for a linebacker that was made in a lab, his name is Luke Kuechly. Like, so I respect the players I kept saying this, Smitty. I don't think you, outside of quarterbacks that can do it, I don't think you're going to have no more 15, 16, 17-year guys consistently. Guys going to be like, hey, man, 8 to 10 years, 8 to 12, and I'm gone. If you even get to that point. But,
yeah.
You know, I'm happy for every player putting it out there. You know, Will said that even though he's going back on it. I mean, Myles Garrett said that too. He said that when he came out. He was now the money has changed a lot since then. But he said, I do think this is his last hurrah, even though he's made plenty of money at this point.
Let's try to knock out these last few headlines in the next 5 minutes, and we'll kind of switch over to the draft and kind of you already previewed it earlier why some franchises stay bad as the draft kind of starts going up here. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said Aaron Rodgers' interest, no knock on JJ McCarthy, but they are closing that door as of right now. Raiders working on extension for new quarterback Geno Smith, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks. And the Giants have said they will not force a quarterback selection at number 3. Their GM, Joe Shane, says.
Well, you want to know why the Giants are, bad at what they – well, of course, the Giants are doing that because they get Geno. I mean, they get Jameis. They get Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson probably the front runner to be the starter. I like Coach McCartney coming out there saying that about the Minnesota because I don't need my first-round rookie thinking that, and here we go again. Now, yes, you had a Sam Darnold last year that had the best career he's had, the best year he's had at quarterbacks. But – and what's the other headline you said? You said the Giants. You said Minnesota.
Oh, Geno Smith and the Raiders working on a contract extension.
Congrats on Geno Smith. I mean, you know that when a quarterback goes from one team to the next, he's going to get a contract extension when you're playing like a guy like Geno. But even getting back to Minnesota, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I
think he's going to go to Pittsburgh. That's my guess.
Yeah, he's still Aaron Rodgers by name, but it's a circus now. I mean, he's giving you more theatrics. He's giving you more on Pat McAfee show than he giving you on the field. I mean, and that just keeping it 100. I mean, look, we respect Aaron Rodgers, but let's just pump the brake for a second. Why are we respecting Aaron Rodgers like he's going to be what he's been? That's in the past, right? Do you know how long it's been since Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl? And he did win it. Long time ago, man. Reebok was still making, the jersey for the NFL. I'm just saying it's been a long time. I think sometimes, Smitty, that's why organizations get themselves in trouble. Pittsburgh is going to get Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers. What they should be thinking about is a veteran who's going to be around longer than a year and not going to bring the circus with him because it's going to be a circus at least that's what Aaron Rodgers has shown. I mean, he's doing Netflix specials. He's going overseas. He's dyeing his hair different colors. He's a celebrity. He's one of the biggest first ballot Hall of Fame, all that, whatever. But what am I getting? Like if we're being honest, Smitty, Pittsburgh is not in that category why they stay bad. The Giants.
We'll get there. We'll save it. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Last few. John Lynch confident 49ers will get a deal done with Brock Purdy, speaking of extensions, and Browns head coach Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski looking for consistency at the quarterback position with the number 2 overall pick, kind of going in with the Jimmy Haslam news from earlier.
John Lynch needs some good publicity right now because I saw what happened with that whole Drake Greenlaw thing. See, we saw how that blew up. See, you be thinking you got more leverage and time than you got. You had him in the building. You was playing. Denver gives him a contract. You come back and give him more. And I know you and Shanahan went to his crib. Hey, man, don't come to my crib. I was in your building. You had me under contract. No, I'm going to go to a team that really value what I'm doing. I'm done. You bet. Brock Purdy, that's not even news. You got to get it done. Are you gonna overpay? Yep, you're gonna overpay a lot. Now Brock Purdy has been to 2 Super Bowls. Well, he's been to Super Bowl. He's won. I mean, he didn't win the one he was in, but 2 NFC Championship games. I think that good for Brock Purdy. He's the greatest Mr. Irrelevant ever. It ain't even close. And who you said because I'm losing my train of thought. You said Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, and then Kevin Stefanski looking for consistency at quarterback.
Whatever that means. Whatever that means. I mean, you got Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Last few. Trayvon Diggs might miss the start of the season. Stephen Jones revealed today, Jerry Jones' son. New head coach for the Jets, Aaron Glenn, says Justin Fields is ready to be a top-notch quarterback, breaking out. And then finally, Mike Vrabel, new Patriots head coach, said they have added premium-level players at every position on defense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, Trayvon Diggs, at least they're coming out being honest about, he's going to probably miss the start of the season. Aaron Glenn has learned the blueprint from Dan Campbell. You praise your starter. You praise him. Hey, listen, I love you in private. I'm going to praise you in public, right? I'm going to praise you in public. Why? Because, Justin, we like what you bring to the table. We think you got a shot here. And what he's really saying is this, dude. I was over there with Jared Goff. I'm not saying Jared Goff is nice. We did this in Detroit. We can do it over here. You just buy into the plan, listen to the plan. We got you.
Yeah.
What else is Mike Vrabel supposed to say? I mean, listen. But when those live bullets get to going, when the season comes, we will. Because guess what? Buffalo is coming. Miami is coming. Even though Tyreek Hill is, disgruntled once again. But we'll see.
And then, James Winston just mentioned about his sign with the Giants, a paradigm shift for the Giants. John Harbaugh and the Ravens discussing a contract extension with together. And then finally, it was Brian Callahan saying the Titans are getting closer on the decision to the number one pick with a short list of players in contention.
I mean, James Winston, he's really, really good for the sound bites. I want to say Harbaugh getting a contract extension. I mean, he's been about as good as you could be since he became the head coach, of the Ravens. And Callahan better listen. That list better include two people. Cam or Shador. Because you need a quarterback bad. So, listen, Callahan, he's saying all the right things right now, but they better get a quarterback, man. I'm just saying, they better get a quarterback because if I don't hear Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, I love Abdul Carter, I love Travis Hunter. They don't help this team get better one bit. You win, listen, in the NFL, you win with quarterback play, right? And you win consistently with quarterback play. To win Super Bowl, you need a quarterback. Right now, Titans might have the worst quarterback in that division. That's saying a lot when you got guys like Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, right? So
yeah,
we will see.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's shift gears now off the headlines into the draft and just some of these advice for some of these teams. As they say, bad teams stay bad and good teams stay good. This was on NFL.com. I'll read. Somebody said this for the Cleveland Browns. I believe it was Mr. Jeffrey Chahida, NFL.com columnist. He specifically talking about the Cleveland Browns. Where did he say this? And I apologize, Jeff, if I am reading this. Oh, I'm sorry, not Jeff. This is Gennaro Felici, deputy editor of written content for NFL.com. He's talking about the Cleveland Browns and specifically saying, give Superman a sidekick. The Browns aren't a Shador Sanders or Travis Hunter away from competing for an AFC supremacy, but they could be an Abdul Carter away from boasting the NFL's best edge rushing duo. That's an enticing calling card for an organization that's largely lacked an identity since its reactivation in 1999. So right there, you have one person saying, draft Abdul Carter at number 2, put him on the other side of Myles Garrett because you're not a Shador Sanders and a Travis Hunter pick away. But on the other hand, like you said, this team needs a quarterback, long-term answer. So let's start with the Cleveland Browns. Bad teams stay bad. Cleveland, yes, they made the playoffs, 2 years ago with Joe Flacco, but outside of that, it's been long list of quarterbacks. There's that shirt that goes viral on Twitter every year about the number of quarterbacks that have started for the Cleveland Browns, including that list is too long to name. I'm not going to name it, but there's so many quarterbacks. So let's start with the Cleveland Browns, and you can kind of take it to where you want to go as we go through some of these teams.
I like Abdul Carter. I think they're putting a lot on him. When people start saying they got a chance to be the best dude, that's not going to happen. Abdul Carter, I think he's going to be a really, really good player. But we know who Myles Garrett is. We know who Abdul Carter is in college. Abdul Carter, I mean, most of the time when he's on the field, he's the best player on the field, definitely the best defensive player on the field. Now, is he going to benefit if he goes to the Cleveland Browns having a guy like Myles Garrett, being his mentor? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you telling me getting Abdul Carter going to make you anything more than just, good on third down, and you hope you good on third down. Cleveland needs a lot. I mean, they need a lot. And I think the thing about it is when you have a good quarterback, now you know what you need to build around. Okay, now I understand playing plug this guy and playing plug that guy there. Outside of Myles Garrett, right? And I love Nick Chubb. But he get hurt. He getting hurt every other year now. Love Jerry Jeudy, right? You don't really fear the Cleveland Browns. They're gonna give you a good game, but the Cleveland Browns are a bad team because they don't prioritize the quarterback position. It's not a priority. Deshaun Watson let you know they didn't prioritize it. You went and gave a guy the most guaranteed money at the time, and he hadn't played football in almost 2 years. That's not priority. You think, oh man, we're gonna get ahead of the curve. No, that means that Deshaun Watson has an. I think it's David Magalu. How you say his name?
David.
Magaluda.
Yeah,
But listen, and I'm never ever mad when people got good representation. I'm never ever mad at that. But come on, Smitty. I give you one name to let you know how bad the Cleveland Browns are. Johnny Manziel. He got drafted, and Johnny Football took college football by storm.
Yes,
Won the Heisman, Texas A&M. He lasted 2 years. And I heard about the whole Brian Hoyer thing when he was doing his part. I get that part. But take Brian Hoyer out for a second. It's still Cleveland, right? It's still Cleveland. Cleveland, they got two shirts in Cleveland. They got the quarterbacks and they got the coaches. Now, I think Coach Kevin Stefanski, you got the coach, right? In the NFL, to win, you need the coach, you need the quarterback, you need the team, you need the coach to win. They got the coach check. They do not have the quarterback. They do not have the team. They do not have the culture. What is that? Where are they picking? In the top three. So, and this has been Cleveland for decades. So it's they got a culture problem because a guy like Kevin Stefanski is a good quarterback. I mean, he's a good coach. You got a first ballot Hall of Fame and the guys like Myles Garrett. But outside of that, it ain't much to talk about. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be and if he's going to be consistent. I don't know if my running game is going to be there because Nick Chubb gets hurt a lot. I like Jerry Jeudy, but Jerry Jeudy is on team number 2 because the team that drafted him didn't want him anymore. I got a defense that doesn't have an identity outside of Myles Garrett. I got a team that doesn't have a culture. And I got a front office that makes bad decisions that comes out and say, yeah, we swung and missed with Deshaun Watson. We knew that when you first did the deal. Forget, not now, back then. So you got the one thing I know you can do, you get a head coach, you get some players in there. But even if you get some players in there, Smitty, are you going to beat Baltimore? No. Are you going to beat Pittsburgh consistently? No. Are you going to beat Cincinnati consistently? No. And that's your division. You got to. This is winning the division. Where you either in the division or you win the division. What you think Cleveland is? They just in it. And even when Baker Mayfield ran through that division, right, beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh in the playoffs, it was much to do about that. Where's Baker Mayfield now? Tampa. So they got to get a quarterback. Not just them, but they definitely got to get one.
All right. So I'm just going to kind of play this exercise with you as we kind of go through some of these bad teams stay bad. So you stop me on a team. I'm just going to go so we just get through all the teams in the time we have remaining. And you just stop me if you say this is a team that is either consistently good or consistently bad, and you just stop me and let me know what you think of this team. Buffalo Bills, forward thinking. They've been, constantly trying to redo offseason deals for people. Josh Allen comes to mind and some of their key players. And ever since kind of Sean McDermott left Carolina and got up to Buffalo, they've kind of been a steadying ship there. Miami, they're treading above water a little bit, but they haven't really been consistently There, they made the playoffs a couple of times. Cool with Mike McDaniel, and then they go play in the snow and they get blown out. So, New England, obviously they were a model of consistency for years, but now, they made some splashy hirings, but what have they done outside of that 1 year with Gerard Mayo was not good. Where are they right now? They're not where they were. This is a different version.
They're consistently average to below average. Well, right now with New England, yeah, they're average to below average. Their greatest coach all time went to college. He's in college now, so that just
okay. All right, that's a good way to say it. Yeah. The Jets, I just go with sad. I mean, and Justin Fields, are we really expecting him to give a light to the end of the tunnel of misery for the Jets at the end of the day? I mean,
yeah, I like to compare teams to food. When I think of the Jets are a bagel, no cream cheese on it, and it came out of a bag. So you pulled out of a bag, Smitty, and you think, where the cream cheese at? Fresh out of cream cheese. What about the toaster? No toaster. So I got it. You just got to eat it because you're hungry. That is the Jets. Like, just there. Just there.
Okay. Baltimore, consistency, what you're getting from Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh. And
they got to get over. Hold on, but we measure them versus them. They got to get over that hump, though. Smitty, we judge Lamar Jackson against Lamar Jackson. That's why we judge him. And Harbaugh is a great coach that can't beat great teams with great quarterbacks. That's what they can't do. They're gonna beat bad teams. Can they beat great teams with great quarterbacks? Ask Buffalo, sometimes ask Cincinnati, ask Kansas City, and that's the barometer. They gotta beat them teams. They gotta lead quarterbacks just as good as their quarterback.
And the other two teams in that division, we already talked about the Browns. Cincinnati, kind of risky with a lot of money coming up with the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins now going to be due with these extensions. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, speaking of model of consistency, Mike Tomlin has been great. Made the playoffs pretty much every year he's been there. Haven't had a losing season. But to what end? What is it almost feels incomplete. Like right now you got Mason Rudolph on the roster, no Justin Fields, no Russell Wilson. So it's like, what now? What now? Same with the Bengals. They have this cheap aura about them. They're now spending money. Okay, great. Are you going to field a defense? Ilum Maruno was blamed and fired for this year's debacle. Hire Al Golden from Notre Dame, who did really good things in college, former Miami head coach, I believe. And, two franchises that are, models of different consistencies.
I would say Cincinnati, all sizzle, no steak. A lot of sizzle. Where the steak at, right? And when it comes to Pittsburgh, they're the model of consistency, but they're also very, very ordinary. They're very consistent, but they're ordinary. Because Smitty, at a certain point, you know what they're gonna say? Hey man, okay, we know how the regular season ends. Y'all either gonna win that division or make the playoffs, and you're gonna get put out the first round. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, but like I say, Mike Tomlin has done something that we never had a losing season. Well, here's the thing. Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, said something about Peyton Manning that I'm gonna say about Mike Tomlin. He said, we had the best player in football, arguably, for 14 years. We went to 2 Super Bowls, and we won one and lost one. We failed. We had that caliber of player with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Bob Sanders, who won Defensive Player of the Year, shot at class of 2000.
Oh, Bob Sanders, damn for the past.
Here's the thing, though, Smitty. But think about that. If I had the best player in football for 14 years, we went to 2 Super Bowls, won one, lost one, that's a failure. Mike Tomlin has gone to 2 Super Bowls. He's won one, lost to Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And he hasn't been back. Hall of Famer, but I think we talk about your Hall of Fame career when your career is over, not while it's still going. I mean, they're not going to fire him because they've only had 3 head coaches in the history of the Pittsburgh, which is so crazy to even think about. You've only had 3, but if you play to win, you play to win consistently, you play to win it all. Right now, all they're doing is winning and kind of winning consistently. They ain't gonna win nothing significant though. Not at this point.
For the before moving to the NFC of the teams remaining in the AFC, the ones that stick out to me, you've got the Texans who were so bad for so long, and finally you bring a DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud, and the ownership changes a little bit, and all of a sudden things are gravy. On the other side, Jacksonville, ownership hasn't been great with Shad Khan, and they've had a lot of quarterbacks there as well. Trevor Lawrence, we'll see. And, going down to the AFC West, the Chargers, as they say, they charger. They've had so many coaches over the years, and finally Jim Harbaugh might be putting his stamp on it.
Yeah.
And then, I think the Raiders were the only other one I was thinking of there, with Mark Davis taking over Al Davis, and they haven't made the playoffs in such a long time. 2002 was the last Super Bowl appearance, if I'm not mistaken, lost to the John Gruden and the Bucks before he went back to the Raiders, but that's another story for another time. So, anything take away from the AFC South?
I want Houston. Are y'all bridesmaids or y'all a bride? Y'all at the ball or y'all the one everybody came to see, right? I get what Houston is doing, but Houston is a good team in a bad division. The reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars are in this position is the same reason why we're talking about Cleveland. Trevor Lawrence is okay at best. He is not top 10, top 5, top 15. They're losing because of him, and he makes the same amount as Josh Allen. A not even Pro Bowler is making the same as the MVP of the league. The thing about the Chargers is this. I like Justin Herbert. I do. But Justin Herbert is a stat compiler, and his team ain't helping him most of the time. Harbaugh is going to do the same thing in San Francisco. He's going to be good enough to not be the best team in the league. He's going to be good. They're not going to be great. They got to find a way to beat Kansas City, and while they're doing that, you know who's getting better? Freaking Denver. And if the Raiders can get a quarterback, we'll see. I don't think it's gonna get them out the dark ages, but they got to at least get a quarterback to start contending a little bit. Because Brock Bowers and Mason, Crosby, those guys, Max Crosby, they got to do better by those guys.
So to make this game make more sense for our audience, I think so. What I'm going to really do to kind of end this, we'll go through each division. We did the AFC, so I'll just say mine really quick. The teams that have been that model of consistency, and then the teams that are kind of still, what are the teams that still looking, like you said, bad teams staying bad. Yeah. So I'll say the Patriots have been that consistency for the AFC East over time. The Jets as a whole have stayed bad. That's mine for the AFC East. Cleveland, they've kind of stayed bad. Pittsburgh, or I could have gone with Baltimore. I'm going to say Pittsburgh overall, the model of consistency. AFC South, it's been the Indianapolis Colts have overall had consistency when Peyton Manning was there. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, bad teams, just kind of staying bad. That 1 year with Blake Bortles.
Which is so crazy to think about. They was a play away from making the freaking Super Bowl. Wow.
Yeah. And then in the AFC West, you got the Raiders, bad team staying bad, and then I think turning over this around is Kansas City. They were bad for a time, but now you're starting to see that model of consistency there in the AFC West out there in Kansas City. So moving to the NFC, I've got the New York Giants as kind of the bad team staying bad. Just a very bizarre offseason for them, and then I got the Philadelphia Eagles as that model of consistency. I know they don't have the Super Bowls to show for it like New England, but overall they've had consistency over the past 20 years, starting with Andy Reid in my lifetime, and now kind of with Sirianni and others in between, like Doug Peterson.
I mean, I like that, but I would also throw in the Dallas Cowboys. The bad team staying. The reason why people don't want to bet Dallas, and Dallas is really, really good at marketing, is really, really bad at winning games. So Dallas has been about as mediocre, and that's with Dak. That's with they good. Once again, they're good enough to not beat teams better than them. They can beat teams that they're better than, but teams they got. So I would go the Giants. The last couple of, think about it. You had the same quarterback for almost 20 years. Eli.
And same with the Houston Texans. You could also say the Washington Commanders have been now. We're starting to see an owner.
The Washington Commanders had a great year with a great young quarterback. It's been a long time for them too, and they've had RG3, they've had Donovan McNabb, they've had Rex.
They had the Dan Snyder era with the owner, the culture, everything.
They've had Jason Campbell. They've had some players. No consistency. They got to work on that consistency. They can't blame Dan Snyder because he's no longer the owner anymore.
Right. Green Bay, model consistent in the NFC North, very steady. And then I'm going to say the Lions were also finally coming out, but they were that bad team staying bad for a long time. That's an easy answer for this division. Obviously, the Lions are on the other side of that now. But for the long time, they were that bad team staying bad. Now I think Chicago is kind of taking that ship right now until Ben Johnson decides to beat Matt LaFleur twice a year, as he's called him out a few times in those offseason press conferences, and taking a couple shots at Jared Goff while he's at it. Our division, NFC South, I'm going to say it. Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are that model of consistency. They've kind of showed that with Brady coming back over there during COVID era. And then the Aints, Ben, I ain't going to throw our two teams there. The Aints, the bad team staying bad, man.
It's been a long time.
Sean Payton was great for that window dressing of 10 years, whatever it was. And then before that, you were the Aints.
You went back to it real fast. You go from Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and now you got Derek Carr. I mean, the Aints have gotten really, really old, really, really fast for like football years. But yeah, they're inconsistent because we had grown for them to at least be competitive. I don't even know how competitive they are these days.
And then finally, we wrap up with the NFC West. This one's easy for me. A model of consistency has been San Francisco 49ers for such a long time. And then the Arizona Cardinals.
Seattle had, they had garnered that because they're actually the team that we look at San Francisco for going to Super Bowls with Kyle Shanahan, 2 with him, and going to a Super Bowl with Harbaugh. What did they do in those? 0-3. The Seattle Seahawks went to back-to-back Super Bowls. They would have beaten Peyton Manning in 2013. And I want to say if they just hand the ball to beast mode, they beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady back-to-back years. Arizona Cardinals, the last time the Arizona Cardinals was good, Kurt Warner was the quarterback.
Carson Palmer against my Panthers in the championship game 10 years ago.
Yeah, but, I mean, Carson Palmer, the one thing Carson Palmer don't want to talk about is when he played the Panthers in the NFC Championship. He do not want to talk about that again. That was a clinic, a master class. They pulled their belts out. That was a shellacking. I mean, that was beautiful football, Cam. That was.
Speaking of Cam Newton, as we're almost out of time. Speaking of Cam Newton, he is back in the headlines as the Carolina Panthers have said they are going to. That they are available to mend any fences and rifts that Cam Newton might have with the franchise, and they told him to reach out. It's been documented, and now we have a game of chicken. Now, so Ben, I don't know if you're aware, the Panthers' 10-year anniversary is coming up this season from the Super Bowl 2015 team, and so you like to see it as a Panthers fan, guys like Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Greg Olsen, Jonathan Stewart,
put them all down together.
Cam Newton, take a game this season. Remember that 2015 team.
Now hold on. We're gonna see if Cam was just blowing smoke. Remember, right? Cam said, "Walking to the, I'm doing something with the Panthers or whatever. I walk into the stadium. My son looking for me. He don't see me. The janitor says, 'Hey man, they got yours on the second floor.' Blase. Well, now, Cam got a platform. 4th and 1, Funky Fridays, First Take." C1N, what his restaurant is called? I can't remember the name of it.
Cigar Lounge somewhere in Atlanta.
Cigar Lounge you got right now. But here's the thing. Let me tell you what Carolina's really doing. All right, Cam. We said we are willing to mend any rifts. Let's see, Cam. Let's see. Now, they know that Cam gonna have some demands too. Y'all making y'all demands publicly, I'm going to make my demands privately. Now, if that private conversation goes bad, you know what Cam can do that the owner can't do? He got a platform. He can talk a lot. I don't think it's going to be that, Smitty. I'm going to tell you why. When you – listen, I'm in my early 40s. How I think at 42 is not how I thought at 32. How I thought at 32 is not how I thought at 22. How I thought at 22 is not how I thought at 12 and 2. I want Cam to understand this. Sometimes, man, you got to care more about your legacy, right, than the moment. Because the moment is great.
And I want to say it was Roman Harper who played for the Panthers and also the Saints first before joining the Panthers for that Super Bowl in a few years after. And then they interviewed a bunch of guys about in the story, and I think it was Roman Harper, but I might be wrong. So Roman, don't chastise me here. But I think he said that both sides, Panthers and Cam, need to kind of put their pride down a little bit,
of course,
and kind of get into a room and hash it out. I mean, that's
listen. Hold on. Forget. Take sports out for a second. Isn't that what adults do? Isn't that what men do? Smitty, once again. This me and you, we partners in crime or whatever we're doing. We doing win the division. If something, it would happen this way. But if you heard something about you, and they said, "Yeah, being Troupe said," like, wait, what? See, sometimes it ain't what said; it's who said it. It's who it came from, right? Well, Cam, as he should, he don't like how he been treated. I get it. Now Cam ain't made it easy, saying they need to get rid of everybody in the front. So he's been throwing stones too. But somebody told the owner, Carolina, listen, man, you can't win this. Listen, he is one of the most beloved Carolina Panthers. I heard that Charlotte has never been like it. When they was winning, they said the city was electric. They said, dude, it was crazy how Charlotte was. So they saying, look, man, sometimes you got to show the fan base that you care more about their favorite, their favorite son than you. You don't do now. Cam having a platform, Cam being a public figure in the media world now. Cam, how do you want to present yourself? Because if they put it out there, and I guarantee they put out there like this meeting because they probably tried to reach out to Cam and they ain't getting no response. So, hey man, before we did this, and I'm gonna say this, and it ain't right, but the Carolina Panthers don't got to do this, Cam. They're gonna be just fine if you never show your face again, right? You see how long it took Green Bay to get things right with Brett Favre? It could take years to get it right. That's ridiculous, but guess what? There go Greg Olsen. There go Steve Smith. See you. There go Jabril. There go Julius.
Yep.
There go Luke Kuechly. So you saw him overseas and shit, right? So they still got their grades and showing them love. How about you make it the greatest? And I guarantee you this. What you asked about, doing that with Bryce Young, saying I want to, hand it over to him, I believe they should let you do it. Because to me, that's class. But before you can be classy, you know what I'm saying, you got to show your professionalism. Holla at them. Because most players, when you done, they calling you the men no offense is good. Go. Live your life. Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and we'll wrap it there. Cam Newton and the Panthers, good place to end it. I'll keep asking this about 4 weeks before the draft. Your Titans, you played for them. Do you think Cam Ward's a lock to go to Tennessee?
Cam, let me tell you why I think Cam's a lock. At his pro day, Coach Callahan was there.
Yep.
He was making throws, talking to Coach Callahan. You know what stood out the most at the Miami Hurricanes pro day? The former GM of the Tennessee Titans, Rand Carthon, interviewed Cam Ward at the pro. That, ladies and gentlemen, is professionalism. Y'all, they go. Now, mind you, Coach Callahan ain't had nothing to do with his firing. Now, the head coach ain't had nothing to do with the GM firing. That's the upper. That's Bud Adams' daughter and all that kind of stuff. I ain't never met her, so I ain't here to throw nobody under the bus. But Smitty, when I could still show my face after I thought I was going to be, one of the faces of the franchise, being the first, African American GM in Tennessee history, only to be ousted 2 years within it, and I still show up. I want to be like that. Shout out to my former teammate, Rand Carthon. His real name is Rendrick. His name, but we call him Rand. But yeah, I do think Cam Ward is a lock to be a Tennessee Titan. Because you see all the smoke and mirrors they're doing. We narrowed it down to a couple. Y'all know who y'all want. Get Cam Ward. Deal with his mistakes because he's going to make them. But that's the only way you can get a Gator to root for a Hurricane.
Okay, here we go. All right. Well, that will wrap up Winning the Division episode number 33. Remember, for Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. Remember, you are either in the division or you are winning the division, as some teams have claimed they won the offseason, but it's just April tomorrow. And so we win by winning games in the fall. That's when
let me say this too. I know it's a day before April 1st. This is not April Fool. Happy birthday to my brother who was born April 1st. Happy birthday to my bonus daughter Talia. So my bonus daughter Talia, she'll be 11. My brother will be 43. So I got my brother and I got my bonus daughter, both turning 11 and 43 tomorrow. So happy early birthday to you too.
Shout out to them. Again, this is Winning the Division, episode 33. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Keep Pounding Podcast Network, Fans First Sports Network, youtube.com/Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We will see you guys next time. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith.